it's like a mountain, you know, and it peaks. There's something called hypnobirthing that I highly suggest you look into. My body is shaking like a leaf at this point. You're in tens of pain right now.
Would you be my done? I still got a lot of shit to learn.
Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that saw my birth vlog and had a couple of questions about what all went down, here I am to spill the tea, to clarify a few things, and to just give the video a little bit more context. As you saw from that video, it started off a little abrupt. Now, I was prepared. I had a hospital bag ready to go in my car, but I had taken a few things out of it that I needed weeks prior to and never replenished it. Here's a good tip: don't touch your hospital bag once it's set. You're gonna regret it later on when you're crowning. I had woken up that morning at like 5 to pee for the millionth time that night, and as I got up and, you know, wiped myself and was going back to bed, I had walked a couple of steps and noticed like a trickle. And then I walked another step and then another trickle. And then I was like, am I just peeing myself now? Am I just so pregnant and huge that I'm just like, I'm not even aware of when I'm peeing? And then I took that third initial step and it was like a little bit more of a gush. And this is TMI. So if you don't want to hear TMI, actually this whole thing is going to be TMI. So if you're not in a headspace for TMI, then yeah, this might not be the video for you. So I look down and I see that the liquid is kind of like a pinkish with like a reddish hue, clear consistency. And I'm like, well, that's strange. My pee's never looked like that before. And then I thought, oh, I think that might be my water. my water broke. Okay. What do we do? And it's like instant panic mode just set into my brain. So I go to wake up my husband, who had just gotten home like 2 hours prior to, because he was on a late night shift. And he was all like, you better not be messing with me right now. I'm so tired and I'm like not in the mood for you right now. And I'm just like, dude, I'm not playing with you, and I'm just gonna like start getting the ball rolling, like if you're gonna like be in denial on the bed. So I call the hospital. He hears me call the hospital, tell them what's going on. They say, yep, why don't you come on in, we'll test to see if the fluid is amniotic fluid. And I called to my mom, I called to my grandma, and both of them were like, oh yeah, it's your water, like your water broke, so go to the hospital. And the hospital's like an hour away from where I live. Am I gonna have this baby on the road? Like, am I gonna be one of those women that are like on the way there and there's like a baby coming out and like some stranger has to deliver my baby on the side of the road? We get to the hospital. They obviously have to PCR test me to make sure that we're all good. And my husband just was required to wear a mask the whole time. They didn't test him. So once my test came back that I was in the clear, they were like, okay, you can take your mask off. Like, we're not gonna make you labor with the mask on. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they were like, yeah, now we're going to take a sample of the fluid and send it off to see if it's amniotic fluid. And if it is, then you're here and you're not leaving this hospital without a baby. And that's when my husband's eyes got like huge. Like, he had never heard that he was gonna have a baby ever, and like this was like the first time he heard of it or something. And he was just shocked, and so was I, because it was about a week or two before our due date. So and she was measuring small, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna be one of those women that are pregnant forever. Yeah, so once the test came back that, yep, it's amniotic fluid, you're here for the long haul, they go and they ask me like, so are you feeling okay? Like, are you having any contractions? Like, what's your discomfort level? And I'm just like a 0. Like, I'm not having anything going on, really. I didn't even feel like a cramp, a tickle, like nothing. Like, actually, no, I did feel like slight crampy, like, but it was more like sore. It wasn't like bangs of cramps, you know? And it was just like achy, you know? But like, hello, there's like a 20 or whatever pound thing on my uterus, so that's gonna hurt. So they were like, okay, well, we're gonna see how things go, and the doctor's gonna be in shortly. And it wasn't my doctor, it was just like another OBGYN that was there at the hospital. So I was like, okay, you know, I'd like to see what our game plan is here. They let us walk the halls, and you know, that was really cool. because they, you know, weren't for the longest time letting anybody walk the halls. And, you know, it would just get my mind off of it. And I was like, if I walk enough, then maybe like the ball can get rolling, like things can start happening. I was like, can I jump on my yoga ball? They were like, sure, do whatever you want. Basically, like, we don't know what's going on. And the OBGYN gets there. She checks me. She's like, well, you're not dilated at all. Like, what were you doing when your water broke? I was like, nothing. I was sleeping. I didn't do anything for this to happen, you know? And they were just kind of like, okay, well, we're going to start you on Cytotec. And it helps just like soften the cervix and get it ready to start opening up so that you can start contracting and like get this baby here. So I was like, okay, that sounds like a plan. Let's do that. And they would give me the pill. I think it was every 6 hours. 6 hours, yeah. It was every 6 hours, 4 to 6 hours or something like that. And I didn't feel anything. There was nothing weird with the pill, no side effects. They said I was still good to go to eat. So I was eating food and, you know, just walking up and down the halls and just trying to see if anything is kind of going on. They put a wireless monitor on me. We have to like scratch the surface of your skin so that the thing can actually stick on, and then it's like a magnet that like gets on, and that device is what monitors the baby's heart rate and everything, and oxygen levels, I think. I don't know. That hurt. And like, I haven't heard anybody talk about that, and I have a pretty high pain tolerance. And like, they took like sandpaper. It was literally sandpaper, and they were like, it's just like a medical grade, which means nothing because it felt like freaking sandpaper. And they scratch your skin till it's like kind of like red and raw, and then they put those stickers on your belly, you know. So I was doing that way I could walk. So it was about it was already nighttime. There was like another nurse on, and they were like, basically like, you know, if you're still not having contractions and nothing else is going on, then you're probably not having this baby today, probably not even tomorrow, maybe the 3rd day. And I was like, the 3rd day? I was like, I'm gonna be here for 3 days? Like, what? That's fine. I was like, I'm not in pain, so I'm not gonna complain. Like, that's fine. It is what it is. Night comes and goes. I didn't sleep at all because I was just like nervous and anxious, and obviously I'm in a hospital and I'm not having like regular contractions, and the ball isn't freaking rolling, and I'm just thinking like C-section, C-section, C-section. Obviously, like, we were gonna do what we had to do, but like a C-section just seemed so scary, and like I just knew that the healing process would take so much longer and that it would be so painful, and I was, you know, just trying to keep that thought out of my mind because I just did not want those negative vibes. I just had faith. I had positive vibes that they would. So the next day, another OB doctor comes in and she checks me out, and she's like, oh yeah, like your cervix is like at about a 3 now, and it's like 80% defaced or whatever. So they basically told me that we would see where things were gonna go, but that Pitocin was probably in my future, and that if the ball didn't get rolling naturally with me getting like contractions more regularly and more painful than just, I think I feel a cramp, because that's all that was happening when it would happen, they were like, we're gonna have to induce you with Pitocin. And I already knew what that meant. Dude, Pitocin labor sucks, okay? Like, once they give you Pitocin, it like turns up the freaking notch on those cramps, aka contractions. And they're just super painful and super hard to deal with. Like, I've heard of mamas that have had a baby and even gone all natural all the way till the end, and they were like, yeah, it was painful, yeah, it kind of sucked. And then that same mama that did it naturally the first time gets induced with Pitocin and then can't freaking make it, and then we'll have to end up getting the epidural because it's just so intense and so strong and so much harder. So I was really trying to avoid that, but the odds just weren't in my favor for that one. So we're still, you know, bouncing on my yoga ball, eating hospital food and snacks. Still, it was super chill. And then they were like, okay, so we're going to induce you with Pitocin now. It's time, you know. And I was like, okay, well, we gotta do what we gotta do. So I proceeded to have my last meal, which was a laboranddelivery. So I had a couple bites and then they came in. So when they're putting the IV in, beware of who's doing it, because the lady, the initial nurse that like came in to do it, was like, and I was hydrated. There was like nothing wrong with like trying to find it, but she was like going in my arm and she went in, she was like, oh, I didn't get it. It's like your veins rolling. And they went in again. Oh, like your vein or whatever. And then I was just like, okay, like just figure it out. She was like, okay, I'm going to have to go into like this main ass vein. I don't know what the hell it was called, but like this main ass vein. And she was like, and it's going to hurt. So take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out. And she stabs me with this needle that I swear to you, like I can almost still tell you, like it feels sore still, like from when that went in. But I know that's not true. That's probably like a phantom pain because of how bad that freaking hurt. And if you see, like I'll try to find a picture, but like my whole freaking arm was bruised from that. Then we couldn't even use that freaking vein for some reason because like it was also like not a good find or whatever. So then they went in through here. And actually, oh my gosh, like I still have the freaking circle. Do you see that dot? That's not a pimple. It's not a blemish. That's a hole, okay? That's a freaking hole from where they got me. I don't know. So I guess my veins just like didn't want to cooperate or whatever. So that's the IV that they had to have in with like the little two things like sticking out where they put in all your medicine if you need it and the Pitocin. So that's where they strapped it to. And I had to walk around with this thing for the rest of the time. Shortly after the Pitocin was being administered, I started feeling the contractions. Like the way I could explain it is like, it's like a mountain, you know, and it peaks and then it starts dropping off and then the pain kind of subsides and then you get a break for however long, 4, 5, 10, 20 minutes, whatever it was at the time. And then it peaks again, you know, and each peak is like higher and higher, you know, so I was dealing with very small little hills, I would say, in the beginning. Super manageable, super doable. I was like, when does the doula come in? Because I kind of want help just in case these get too painful. It was really cute of me to think that like I would just be able to manage it without any pain medicine because shit got real. They gave me the Pitocin around 11 a.m. Around 2 is when I would say the contractions started happening semi-consistently to where you would be able to look on the chart and see a pattern of time. Like 10 minutes, then every 8, then 7, then so on and so forth. They were just getting closer and closer together. The hospital supplied the doula. And she was like, okay, it looks like you're doing some great work, mama. Now let me show you a couple things that you can do. She was massaging my feet. She was doing all these pressure points in my foot. She was massaging my legs. Like, it was just super relaxing. I felt like I was at a spa minus the freaking contractions. And when the contractions would happen, she was like, just breathe through them. Anytime things have been super painful that I've had to deal with, I can recall like when I would have to get steroid injections in my ears. I've had to get things like removed with a scalpel because I have, you know, a skin condition that we'll get into another time. But every time I'd have to go through something super painful, I would just freaking close my eyes and like pinch my third eye. And it would work, and it would work. Up until it wasn't. That's when I was like, okay, I need to like stand up and like move my body and sway. And I was through most of the chill contractions too, but it wasn't like I needed to, where at this point when they started getting bad, I was like, I need to move my body and just sway. There's something called hypnobirthing that I highly suggest you look into, because I did, and it helped me get through some of the hardest contractions. So the doula was also using a lot of like positive affirmations, and she was having me envision oceans and all these things, and that would really help. She was like, envision ocean waves as they're crashing one on top of another. Each wave is getting you closer to your baby, and instead of thinking of them as contractions or pain, think of them as surges of energy. And I was, and then I was like, oh shit, these are getting harder. And these are getting harder. Damn it. Oh yeah, an ocean. My baby. Something. What? Ow. 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 That's all my brain would freaking think. And then I would try to concentrate and go back. As the contraction would start to climb, I was like, okay, oceans, waves crashing on top of you, surges of energy. Just enter. Ow. Fucking ow. Bitch. Ow. It was just impossible to get my mind anywhere in the realm of positive thinking and birth affirmations at that point, because it was just getting so tough. And I'm a tough chick. I've handled some shit, you know, but this was hard. That's when the nurse came in and she was like, so when are you wanting your epidural? And I'm like, yeah, soon, now, like right now, like I'm not gonna make it. I need this epidural. And she was like, okay, well, let me just go call the anesthesiologist and see what's going on. She comes back and she's like, he just got home, so it's gonna be a while until he can get back, like an hour or so. And I'm just like, okay, like, let's make sure he does, like, get on it, because I'm dying over here. It feels like I'm dying. Okay, so then I'm over here, like, I would just, like, huddle over the bed, and she was, like, telling me to get into, like, this position where, like, you hold the rod, the birthing rod, I don't know what it's called, the birthing bar, and you, like, stick your butt out, kind of like cat-cow position if you know yoga, and you, like, sway your hips, you know, and then as you're doing that, like, curl back up into cow, and then go back into cat, and then, you know, you're like motioning, you know, you're kind of like wiggling the baby down, you know, so just kind of like making her drop further. And boy, did that work. Every time I would have a contraction and I was doing that motion, I can just feel this pressure of like 1,000 pressures, dude. It felt like a bowling ball was just sitting on top of that part where like your vagina meets your butt hole entrance. I don't know why I'm making so many. Either way, you know what I'm talking about, right? There's a hole here, there's a hole here, and there's like a piece of flesh in the middle. There's a bowling ball sitting on it now, and it's freaking being driven down with every contraction. And I just thought, I'm gonna rip my gooch. Like, it's like this is gonna be like a new medical anomaly that they see today. This baby is gonna shoot out of my gooch. There's gonna be a third hole made today, and that's how I'm gonna birth her out. And they're gonna have to send me off to the ER or to the operating room to like sew whatever is left down there, you know, back up. And that's something that resembles 2 holes. Don't mix them up. I remember I kept bugging the nurse, like, while I wasn't having contractions, of course. I was like, it feels like a bowling ball's gonna rip through my butt. It feels like a bowling ball is gonna rip through my butt. It feels like a bowling ball's gonna rip through my butt. And she was like, yeah, that's the baby. That's what it feels like, yeah. And I'm just like, what? No, like, you're not, maybe I'm not making myself clear. It literally feels like she's like, yeah, let me stop you there. Yeah. It do feel like that sometimes. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, geez, where's my epidural? I need it now. They were like, yeah, it's gonna be a while till your epidural can get here. In the meantime, do you want the nurse to talk to you about fentanyl? Yeah, I don't know. And then the contraction would start, and it was like starting to peak and like going up this hill. And then I was like, okay, yeah, heroin, fentanyl, whatever. Yes, let's talk to a nurse about whatever the hell. Yes, let's talk about it. Actually, let's just skip the talking phase and just directly put it into my IV. Does it come in shots? Do I need to take shots of this? I'll beer bong the fentanyl if I have to. Like, it needs to happen now. So the nurse came in and she was like, okay, we're gonna give you this drug. It's gonna kick in really fast and you're gonna feel some relief. And then she goes in, she injects whatever it is into my freaking IV, you know, the fentanyl. And they were like, okay, lay down. And I was like, oh God, thank God, like I'm going to feel some relief soon. And then the next contraction started. I felt everything. The only thing that changed was that I felt dizzy, like you're on a tilt-a-whirl. Now I'm in pain, can't get up to sway my body, and I'm dizzy. and I'm in pain. Lots and lots and lots of pain, okay? I never wanted to call it a 10. I don't think I ever did call it a 10 whenever they were like, gauge your pain, because I was scared to say I'm at a 10 out loud. I wanted to like save it, you know, but it felt like 10. Have you seen the movie A Fault in My Stars? Do you remember when she was like, I always said 9. And they were like, you're brave because you called a 9 a 10. I was gonna save that shit. You're in tens of pain right now and you can't get out of it. So fuck, dude, I'm just going through contraction and contraction, just moaning like a freaking, like a whale, holding on to the freaking bar of like the rail or whatever that like they have, the hospital railing, and I'm just like, I sound like a freaking cow. Like it was primal, very primal sounding moan that like your body just wants to make when you're in birth, I guess. Guess what? Nobody tells you. When you're in labor, you still have to pee all the time. All the time. You always have to freaking pee. You're having contractions, okay? So like, having contractions, you sit on the toilet, you immediately start having another one. I remember the nurse was like, okay, we're gonna up your Pitocin. It was like at a 14, I don't even know, 16, whatever the hell it was at. It maxes out at 20. She's like, we're gonna up it again. And I'm just like, can you just please not? Just please. And then she was like, what do you mean? Would you want to get your baby here, right? Bink, 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 bink. So my body is shaking like a leaf at this point. I can't stop. It's like, you can see it in the video probably, like when I'm holding up my hand, it's like constant like shivering, and it's not because I'm cold. It's like, I think the adrenaline, the hormones, I don't freaking know, but it was bad. So I kept asking the nurse, like, I was like, hey, what's gonna happen when like the epidural guy gets here and I can't stop shaking? Because I seriously can't, and I don't want to be paralyzed. She was like, it's fine. You feel like you're shaking, but you don't look like you're shaking. And he deals with pregnant women all the time that are shaking just as bad as you, and you're just gonna have to try to be still. Then the anesthesiologist walks in the room, and he is so funny. He was like the life of the party, like, okay, who ordered an epidural? You, ha. While he's pointing at my husband. He's like, okay, here we are. Who's ready to feel some pain relief? Oh, thank God. Then he was all like, okay, well, before we do that, we're gonna have to talk some disclaimers. Yeah, you can have a brain leak. You know, you can go paralyzed. Switching to voiceover mode. Okay, this is really annoying, but like my camera started to die. So unfortunately, this is gonna be a 2-part series, but stay for the next series because not only is the ending crazy, but there's gonna be a giveaway and I don't have that many subs. So your chances are really high of winning. See you next time.
We won't need nothing else for the rest of our time. And I know it so well. I will always be by your side.